In my previous life, I was a pathetic simp. I inherited a fortune worth hundreds of billions and spent it all on my white moonlight, only for the apocalypse to arrive and for her to team up with the neighbors to dismember me as emergency rations. When I opened my eyes again, I returned to 3 months before the apocalypse. The inheritance of 70 billion had hit my account, and I had also awakened a portable storage space. Facing the white moonlight on my phone who was ordering me to buy concert tickets, I said only one word: get lost. This time, I won't be a simp anymore. I want every ungrateful wretch to suffer a fate worse than death in the apocalypse. I abruptly opened my eyes and saw 2 stunning twin sisters standing before me, dressed in OL skirts, black stockings, and high heels. They had identical faces, figures no less than top female celebrities, yet carried themselves like queens of the workplace. My mind exploded with a buzz. I wasn't killed by that pack of ungrateful neighbors. How had I returned here again? Memories came flooding back like a tide. Today was exactly 3 months before the apocalypse descended, and also the day I inherited my overseas second granduncle's fortune worth hundreds of billions. The older sister, Su Yunxi, was the chief lawyer of Sutian Group, with eyes so sharp they seemed able to see through people's hearts. The younger sister, Su Muyu, was the finance director, with a gentle temperament that still revealed shrewdness. They handed over a thick will document with both hands, their voices formal, yet carrying a hint of scrutiny. Mr. Su Yang, Mr. Su left you a total of 3 inheritances. The first, $10 billion in cash. The second, fixed assets and group shares worth $20 billion. The third inheritance is us sisters. Mr. Su made it clear in his will that we can help you manage and operate Sutian Group, so that you will have no worries in the future. If you have no objections, you can sign now. The $10 billion in cash will then be credited and converted into 70 billion renminbi transferred into your domestic account. Sutian Group and all fixed assets will also become yours at the moment you sign. I stared at that document, my fingers trembling slightly. Not because I was excited. It was because of hatred. In my previous life, I signed my name on this very sheet of paper, then poured all this immense wealth onto Bai Lu. That woman, my white moonlight who lived in the same residential complex as me. I bought her luxury cars, luxury watches, and designer bags. Whatever she wanted, I gave her. That childhood sweetheart of hers, Lu Su, benefited too, with me footing the bill for all their food, drinks, and entertainment. When the 2 of them went to concerts, I bought the tickets. When they went out to eat, I paid the bill. When they got a room, I fucking even gave them condoms. I was the purest kind of simp, simping until I had nothing left. After the apocalypse arrived, a streak of blue light flashed across the sky. A goose feather blizzard swept across the globe, and temperatures plunged to minus 50 or 60 degrees. Water and power were cut off, and supplies ran out. And in just half a month, human society turned into a living hell. I survived on the supplies I had stockpiled, and even helped those neighbors who were about to starve to death. I thought kindness would be repaid. But what happened? Bai Lu joined forces with Lu Su to trick me into opening my door, and those neighbors whose lives I had saved all swarmed in, looting every bit of my supplies. And they even wanted to dismember me for emergency rations. Their words were carved into my bones, every single one. So what if you're rich? Didn't we still kill you? Don't think that just because you helped us, we owe you gratitude. Save your money to spend in your next life. A liter of rice earns gratitude. A bushel of rice earns hatred. I only understood this truth after paying for it with my life. Mr. Su? Su Yunxi's voice pulled me back from the abyss. She frowned slightly and tugged at her suit jacket, as if she had sensed the icy killing intent coming from me. I took a deep breath, suppressing the blood red in my eyes, and forced a smile onto my lips. Sorry, I lost my composure. Give me the pen. I flipped open the will, and, without even looking, I signed the 2 characters Su Yang directly on the last page. Then I looked up and said to Su Muyu, transfer $5 billion to me first, and leave the remaining $5 billion in the overseas account. I have an important use for it. Su Muyu didn't waste words and made a phone call. 10 minutes later, a bank text came in. 35 billion renminbi had been deposited. I picked up my phone and glanced at it. Just as I was about to put it away, a flash of white light suddenly streaked through my body. The phone vanished out of thin air. My heart jolted, but my face didn't change in the slightest. With a thought, the phone reappeared in my palm. A storage space. I almost cried out in surprise. Rebirth even came with a portable storage space? Heaven, you finally opened your eyes. If I'd had this thing in my previous life, Would that pack of ingrates have been able to steal the supplies I'd stockpiled? With this storage space, my preparations for this apocalypse would be set this time. I quickly composed myself so nothing showed on my face. The sisters didn't seem to notice the bizarre sight of the phone disappearing and reappearing, and I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed this storage space was bound to my mind, and outsiders couldn't see it. Su Yunqi spoke at this moment, her tone probing. It seems Mr. Su is rather different from what we learned in our files. What am I like in the files? I picked up the teacup on the table and looked at her with amusement. The files show that you are a timid and submissive person, a pushover at the company, and in relationships. She paused, as if choosing her words, a simp. The kind with no self-awareness, a hopeless romantic warrior. I nearly choked on my tea. This lady really didn't hold back. However, Su Yunqi abruptly changed her tone, her gaze fixed tightly on me. The UEC is like a cloud of fog. Faced with 100 billion inheritance, you didn't show the slightest excitement. When 35 billion hit your account, you didn't even spare it a second glance. Even when facing the two of us sisters, your eyes are calm in a way that's unlike a normal man. A man who can remain completely unfazed by both money and beauty is definitely not the kind of loser described in the files. I set down my teacup and laughed inwardly. The fact that she could analyze all this so thoroughly only proved that she had guessed completely wrong. The reason I was so calm was because I had already experienced all of this in my previous life. Having just gone through betrayal, a gruesome death, rebirth, and then awakened to storage space. Who the hell has the mind to care about how much money there is? As for how attractive the two of them were, the lesson from my previous life told me that the more beautiful a woman is, the more dangerous she is. But I wasn't about to say that. I merely replied blandly. Files are dead. People are alive. Spend enough time with me, and you'll discover a whole new me. After a pause, I stared into her eyes and asked the most crucial question. But can I trust you? The moment the words fell, the temperature in the whole room seemed to drop. The sisters both froze at the same time, then immediately understood what I meant. Sumiyu spoke first, her voice sincere and earnest. If you're not comfortable with us managing the group on your behalf, you can dismiss us at any time and personally take control of the board. The reason we were written into the will as the third inheritance item is entirely because we wanted to repay a kindness. My sister and I were orphans from childhood. Before we were 8, we wandered the streets and suffered all the coldness and hardship of the world. It was old Mr. Su who took us in, gave us food and clothing, paid for us to attend the best schools, and gave us a stage to display our talents. He treated us like his own granddaughters. We would never let him down. Su Yunqi spoke even more directly. If we had ulterior motives, then with me as chief lawyer and my younger sister as finance director, we would have emptied Sutian Group long ago. And this 100 billion inheritance would never have fallen into your hands. At worst, it would have been easy for us to run off with a sum of money. So we bear no ill will. You can trust us completely. Of course, if you don't believe us, dismiss us right now. We'll hand over all the shares and control of the board, and then leave. Their words reminded me of my previous life. Bailu had once urged me to drive them away. Without a word of protest, they handed over everything in Sutian Group and left gracefully, without pulling any tricks. At least at that point in time, their loyalty was real. But what about after the apocalypse? In that state where all things wither, with ice and snow everywhere, suffering from hunger and cold, can people still stay true to their original intentions? I didn't dare gamble on it. The lesson I paid for with my life in my previous life was too costly, so costly that I couldn't trust anyone easily again. But at this stage, I still need them. For a multinational corporation like Sutian Group, the connections it has and the resources it can mobilize are crucial to my apocalypse plan. That $5 billion left overseas also needs their cooperation before it can be put to use. So I curled my lips into a smile and said to them, I like your candor. From now on, you'll be my ace secretaries. As the saying goes, when there's work, the secretary does it. When there's no work, do the secretary. The sisters spoke in unison, their faces wearing half smiles. I couldn't help laughing out loud. If you don't mind, I absolutely can. Su Yunqi rolled her eyes beautifully, while Su Muyu's lips curved up slightly. The elder sister said, people in high society are surrounded by beauties. We've seen this sort of thing plenty of times. If the boss really has what it takes to make us sisters willing, then it's not impossible for twin sisters to serve one husband together. The same looks, double the pleasure. Isn't that what you men dream of? Who said we were joking? Su Muyu added. We grew up with the law of the jungle. We understand survival of the fittest better than anyone. If fate has destined us sisters to be with you, then we have nothing to resist. Of course, there's one condition. You have to have what it takes. Fine, then just wait. I stood up and adjusted my collar. Now then, do you have time to join your boss for a lunch to build our relationship? Since the boss is inviting us, we naturally have to show our respect. The three of us walked out of the building chatting and laughing. Just after getting into the car, my phone rang. It was Bailu. The moment I saw that name, a wave of nausea churned in my stomach. I opened the message, and it said, Su Yang, Lu Su and I are going to a concert tonight. You have 2 hours to get 2 adjacent front row tickets. If you delay us, you'll be sorry. The commanding tone, the matter-of-fact attitude. I could practically picture that arrogant, ugly expression on her face as she typed those words. What does she take me for? A mobile ATM? A servant at her beck and call? If it were my past life self seeing this message, I definitely would have hurried off to buy overpriced tickets, and even felt deeply grateful that the goddess was giving me a chance. But the current me only finds it utterly ridiculous. I held down the voice message button, took a deep breath, and said one word into the phone, "Get lost." Then I turned off the phone and tossed it aside. Seeing this in the rearview mirror, Su Muyu teased. "What? Did your white moonlight send you a message? Boss, that attitude of yours doesn't sound like what was written in the file. When I already have twin sisters by my side whose looks and figures are no worse than top female stars, why would I care about her?" I shrugged. Back then, I didn't know there was an entire forest outside, so I got stuck in a rotten swamp and couldn't pull myself out. "Come on, let's go eat. There's a restaurant near the Fengyun residential complex where I live that's pretty good. I'll take you there to try it." The car drove away from the building, heading toward the Fengyun residential complex. Meanwhile, on the other end, when Bailu heard the extremely impatient "get lost" from the phone, she was completely stunned. Then rage rushed to her head, and she frantically sent voice messages at her phone. "Su Yang, what kind of attitude is that? Telling you to buy tickets is me giving you a chance. Don't fail to appreciate my kindness. Apologize and buy the tickets right now, or don't even think about me paying attention to you again." The message was sent out and sank like a stone into the sea. She sent another one. "Even if you beg me now, treat me to a lavish meal, or buy me a designer bag, it won't help." There was still no response. Bailu angrily threw her phone onto the bed. Lu Su walked out of the room, looking impatient. "What now? Why are you getting worked up over that simp? He actually told me to get lost." Bailu shrieked. "He's just a simp. What gives him the right to tell me to get lost?" Lu Su let out a scornful laugh. "He's probably out of money, or maybe he started simping for some other woman. A pathetic broke loser like him will come crawling back to fawn over you in a couple of days. When that happens, just bleed him twice as hard. We'll buy our own tickets for tonight's concert. Worst case, we'll sit in the back rows." He opened the ticket booking app. A regular ticket was 800, and 2 tickets came to 1,600. His mouth twitched with pain, but he still gritted his teeth and paid. He thought that once Su Yang came back groveling, this money would definitely be reimbursed, and he might even squeeze out a little extra. The two of them went out, each harboring their own schemes, while I had long since put them out of my mind. Killing them now would be letting them off too easy. Dying together with trash like them is something only an idiot would do. I want them to stay alive in the apocalypse, to live on in despair amid the freezing snow, starving and cold, with every day worse than death. That would be the best punishment for them. The car stopped in front of a restaurant 2 kilometers from Fengyun residential complex. The sign had 3 characters written on it: Liufu Residence. Su Yunqi looked over this little restaurant that didn't even qualify as 3-star and raised an eyebrow. "Boss, you're a tycoon worth hundreds of billions, and you're bringing us to a place like this for dinner? Doesn't that seem a bit beneath your status? You elites who are used to grand occasions still care about where you eat?" I pushed open the car door. "I haven't eaten this place's food in a month. I've been dreaming about this taste." That was the honest truth. What kind of life did I live during that month of the apocalypse? My mouth was so bland I could taste nothing. I'd even chewed tree bark and drunk melted snow. Under normal circumstances, this restaurant's food wouldn't be anything special, but in my memory, it was the finest flavor on earth. As soon as I walked in, I ran into a few familiar neighbors. The way they looked at me still carried the same mockery as always. Who in Fengyun residential complex didn't know the title of #1 simp? But when they saw the 2 stunning twin beauties following behind me, their eyes nearly popped out. Women prettier than TV stars, and even more refined in temperament like this. Being able to say a single word to them would already be a once-in-a-lifetime blessing, and I actually brought 2 of them out to eat at once. Those mocking looks instantly turned into envy. I couldn't be bothered with them. I found a table, sat down, and started ordering immediately. Lobster, abalone, sea cucumber, all kinds of delicacies from land and sea soon filled the entire table. After all the dishes were served, I didn't even greet the sisters. I picked up my chopsticks and started eating. I devoured the food like a whirlwind, wolfing it down like a starving ghost reborn. Su Yunqi and Su Muyu stared in stunned silence. How had they ever seen anyone eat like this? A tycoon worth hundreds of billions binge eating like this. No one would believe it if word got out. What they didn't know was that for someone who had lived through famine in the apocalypse, there would be an almost obsessive craving for fresh food. I hadn't even realized that myself. Very soon, I had wiped out more than half the table. I wiped my mouth in satisfaction and called over the restaurant owner. How much for this whole table? 1,500. The owner replied with a smile. At this exact standard, make me 1,000 tables. Deliver them to Villa 001 in Fengyun Residential Complex at noon tomorrow. The owner's smile froze on his face. How many? 1,000 tables? The chopsticks of several neighbors beside us fell from their hands. 1,000 tables of dishes at this standard. That was a full 1.5 million. What's more, the delivery address was Villa 001 in Fengyun Residential Complex, the largest and most luxurious detached villa in the entire complex. And it hadn't been sold for many years. What kind of outrageous luck had this kid stumbled into? Can you do it? I asked the owner. He suddenly snapped back to his senses and nodded like a pecking chick. Yes, we can. Absolutely. As long as you pay, even if sparks fly from the wok, I'll make it for you. I handed over my bank card, and he took it with both hands. When he turned to swipe it, his legs were already weak. In a lifetime of running a restaurant, he had never taken an order this big. Once this order was done, he could shut down for the rest of the year and still have enough. I picked up my chopsticks again and kept eating, asking the two sisters as I ate. If I sell all of Su Tian Group's stock and all the fixed assets left by Second Master, how long will it take? Su Muyu put down her chopsticks, and her instinct as a CFO made her immediately slip into work mode. The fixed assets are easy to handle. What Mr. Su left overseas are all high-quality assets, worth about $2 billion, and all of them can be sold within a week. What about the stock? The stock is more troublesome. The group's market value is $18 billion, and it won't be easy to find buyers for such a large block of shares. Even if we cash out through the secondary market, it'll still take quite a bit of time. A conservative estimate is 2 months. Su Yunqi took over. I picked up a piece of lobster meat, chewed it twice, and said calmly, I'm giving you 1 month. Dispose of all the fixed assets and sell 30% of the group's stock. Tell those interested in acquiring Su Tian Group that we can offer a 20% discount. Su Muyu did the math in her head quickly, and her face changed drastically. At 20% off, that leaves only $14.4 billion. That's an immediate loss of $3.6 billion, which converts to 25.6 billion yuan. Boss, are you sure? Su Tian Group is a goose that lays golden eggs, the security of your descendants for generations to come, and you're just giving it up like that? Su Yunqi also frowned. Boss, we're not interfering with your decision, but as your secretaries, we need to let you know the true value of Su Tian Group. This is a vast business empire. The life's work of Mr. Su. Are you really going to let it go this cheaply? I set down my chopsticks and looked at them seriously. No matter how much money there is, it's only money if you're alive to spend it. If you're dead and can't spend it, it's not even as good as toilet paper. The two sisters looked at each other. Su Yunqi asked tentatively, Boss, could it be that you have persecutory delusions? Or is there some information we don't know? I can't tell you that much right now. In any case, I'm not going to joke with my own life. I smiled confidently, leaned back in my chair, looked at the sky outside gradually turning gloomy, and said slowly, when this day comes 3 months from now, you'll know how right my decision was. Just as Su Yunqi and Su Muyu were about to say something more, a voice interrupted them. Well, Su Yang, when I asked you to buy me concert tickets, you wouldn't. But here you are hiding out and eating lobster and abalone. Bai Lu and Lu Su, who had happened to come for a meal, saw that Su Yang was there and were instantly furious. When they saw the leftover lobster and abalone in front of him, the two of them kept swallowing their saliva. When had they ever eaten anything that good? Usually, when other people ate it, they could only watch. Bai Lu in particular was even angrier, pointing at Su Yang and cursing. You had no money to buy me concert tickets, but you have money to stuff your face here. Do you still think you can pursue me? Why aren't you getting up to buy me tickets right now? Su Yang looked at the utterly shameless Bai Lu, who was like a fishwife cursing in the street, and sneered. Are you way too weirdly confident about your looks? Someone like you. What is there worth pursuing? If you want to see the concert, buy the tickets yourself. Surely you're not so broke that you can't even afford a ticket, right? Or else have your childhood sweetheart buy them for you. Su Yang changed the subject and looked at Lu Su beside her with ridicule. Oh, right. I just remembered, he's a poor loser too. Making 5 or 6,000 yuan a month and still dreaming of buying adjacent front row seats. Keep dreaming. Or how about the two of you take out a nude loan? Maybe then you could afford it. But looking like you two do, even microloan companies wouldn't lend to you. His words immediately drew a burst of laughter, making Bai Lu want to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Lu Su was so furious that he gnashed his teeth. Su Yang, show me some respect. If you want my respect, you need to have some ability yourself. Why should I respect two pieces of trash who used to live off me? Su Yang said bluntly, get lost, don't affect my meal. Say that again. Lu Su's eyes blazed with anger as he raised his fist, ready to hit Su Yang. But then a mocking voice came from nearby. Could it be that when people become rich, they also become smarter? We used to think Su Yang was just a rather simple simp. But who would have thought he'd long known these two had bad intentions? Look, Lu Su still wants to hit someone. Su Yang is rich now. After hitting him, can he afford the compensation? Huh. Hearing this, quite a few people laughed. These people were just there for the spectacle, and they mocked Bai Lu and Lu Su non-stop, hoping to make the situation even bigger. Just as Lu Su was about to throw a punch regardless of everything, Bai Lu pulled him back. As a top-tier scheming bitch and White Lotus, she picked up on the key words amid everyone's mockery. Su Yang had now become rich. She looked at the table full of dishes he had ordered, lobster, abalone, everything, at least more than 1,000. Judging by how he used to be, how would he have dared eat such expensive food? It seems Su Yang really had become rich. The anger in her heart was immediately suppressed, and she put on a pitiful expression, pulling the confused Lu Su behind her. She walked up to Su Yang and said in a coy voice, Brother Su Yang, you may have misunderstood me. I asked you to buy concert tickets because I just wanted you to go watch it with me. After all, I still like you very much. For a scheming bitch, giving up dignity and changing faces is faster than flipping pages, and twisting right and wrong is their specialty. Don't think that just because you've made a little money, you can swagger around in front of me. Bai Lu cursed inwardly. As long as I use a little trickery, I'll make you, this simp, buy tonight's concert tickets. Not only will you treat me to a lavish meal, you'll also have to buy me tens of thousands of yuan worth of things as compensation. A simp like you still thinks you can escape from the palm of my hand? Dream on. Seeing that Su Yang said nothing, the absurdly self-confident Bai Lu continued. Look, the moment I heard you were eating here, I rushed over right away because I wanted to have a meal with you, Brother Su Yang. You won't blame me for not giving you a heads up before coming, will you? As she spoke, she didn't forget to throw him a few flirtatious looks she thought were very charming. Su Yang got goosebumps all over from looking at her. What he had just eaten churned in his stomach, making him feel nauseated. Who gave you the confidence to think I'd go to a concert with you? Su Yang said coldly. If you can't afford a ticket, go sell yourself. Charge 100 per person, do it 100 or so times. And won't that be enough? Stay away from my table. You're ruining my appetite. Humiliated like this by someone she had always regarded as a simp, Bai Lu could no longer endure it and shot to her feet. She was just about to point at Su Yang's nose and curse at him when the restaurant owner walked over. Mr. Su, here is your bank card. And for the 1,000 tables of identical banquet meals you just ordered, the total comes to 1.5 million, and the invoice has already been issued. We will deliver them to Fengyan Community number 001 on time tomorrow at noon. What? He spent 1.5 million on 1,000 banquet tables? And they're even being delivered to Fengyan Community number 001? Bai Lu once again suppressed the anger in her heart and looked at Su Yang with shining eyes. She thought he must have stumbled into some unbelievable stroke of luck. He made a little money and actually came here to eat. He spends 1.5 million just like that. How is that a little money? What kind of net worth do you need to spend that much just on booking a banquet? Did he even buy the villa at number 0012? That's worth tens of millions. Countless thoughts drifted through her mind as she tried hard to put on a look of great surprise and leaned toward him again. Brother Su Yang, did you book so many banquets to treat everyone in the neighborhood to a meal? Also, did you buy that villa in our neighborhood too? That's really amazing. From now on, we can live happily in a big house. I always knew you'd be successful. See, I was right. Sure enough, when a person is shameless enough, they become invincible. Su Yang looked at her as if she were some kind of mentally ill person. He felt even more disgusted at once, thinking to himself, my taste really was terrible before. Brother Suyang, let's go back quickly and take a look at our new home. As Bailu spoke, she reached for Suyang's hand and tried to pull him outside. But he shook her off at once. Don't touch me. I'm a germaphobe. Go piss in the toilet and take a good look at yourself. Who do you think you are, calling me brother? If I had a sister like you, I'd rather smash my head to death. At this point, even the sisters Su Yunqi and Su Muyu couldn't stand it anymore and stood up to say to the restaurant owner, "Is your restaurant really this lacking in judgment? Can't you see someone's disturbing our boss while he's eating? Why haven't you thrown her out yet?" Only then did Bailu notice the pair of twin sisters, both with outstanding looks and figures. Looking at them, they had the bodies and the beauty, as well as an air of nobility that even she found a little captivating. But as a scheming bitch, Bailu was inexplicably confident in her own looks and figure as well, believing she was no worse than them. And when she heard them call Suyang boss, she immediately imagined that these two must be women Suyang kept outside. What kind of decent person calls someone else boss all the time? They must be prostitutes. Then what do I have to be afraid of from you two? You're just cheap, seductive sluts. A slight smile curled at the corner of her mouth as she came up with a good plan. Brother Suyang, you mustn't be bewitched by these two vixens. They're definitely with you for your money. Bailu said to Suyang in a very concerned tone, but I'm different. What I care about most is you yourself. Whether you have money or not, I'll always be good to you. These 1.5 million banquet tables must have been something you two made Brother Suyang book, right? Bailu looked at the two sisters with disdain and said, I knew you were up to no good. I knew you were just tricking my brother Suyang. Brother Suyang, return it. Be good. Let's not waste money on this. Whatever you want to eat, I'll make it for you when we get home. The restaurant owner turned pale the moment he heard this. He really was afraid the other party had booked the banquet on a moment's impulse. If it really got cancelled, he would have nowhere to argue his case. He glared at Bailu viciously, to the point of wanting to strangle her. The sisters Su Yunqi and Su Muyu let out a light laugh. When they had investigated Suyang's background before, they had learned a little about Bailu too. They only knew that she was a scheming bitch, but they hadn't expected her to be even more unbearable than they had imagined. Su Yunqi walked up to her and said with a cold laugh, If you dare keep talking nonsense, be careful or I'll sue you for defamation. A clown like you isn't even worthy of catching our boss's eye. Don't you know your own place? Don't be shameless when people are being polite to you. Without waiting for her to retort, Su Yunqi took out her lawyer's license and waved it in front of Bailu, then said, In front of me, don't think you can act unconvinced. I'm a world-class top lawyer. If I really sue you, making you pay 100,000 or 80,000 would be easy. You couldn't afford it even if you sold yourself. Bailu had never seen anything like this before, and she cowered on the spot. He was dragged off to the side by Lu Su in disgrace. But the way he looked at Su Yang was still full of passion. At this point, Su Yang had no interest in eating anymore. So he said to the restaurant owner, Boss, prepare the banquet we ordered earlier as usual and deliver it to me tomorrow at noon. Throw away whatever hasn't been eaten, so it doesn't get carried off by two stray dogs. After saying that, Su Yang didn't spare Bailu and Lu Su another glance, and left without hesitation with Su Yunqi and Su Muyu. The two women held onto Su Yang's arm and leaned against him. The sight made Bailu insanely jealous, and she cursed those bitches in her heart. Don't forget what I arranged for you. The shares of Sutian Group must be sold within 1 month. Once they were back in the car, Su Yang emphasized it again to the two sisters. Understood. The two nodded. Also, register 2 companies for me in China. 1 large logistics company and 1 online live streaming company. Su Yang instructed again. As for the registration capital, it doesn't need to be paid in. Subscribed capital will do. The two of them didn't ask why he wanted to do this. Since the boss had given the order, they just carefully noted it down and would complete it. Of course, Su Yang was doing this to prepare for the apocalypse. These 2 companies were both intended to prepare for stockpiling supplies on a large scale. After all, he had ample funds, and if he stockpiled that many things on such a large scale, it would definitely arouse the suspicion of many authorities. Using these 2 companies as a cover would be just enough to dispel suspicion. Everything would look justified, and no one would be able to find anything on him. Su Yang had long since thought through his plan for dealing with the ice and snow apocalypse after his rebirth. First, stockpile a large amount of survival supplies. In any case, he had portable storage space with him. No matter how much he stockpiled, it would all fit, it would be easy to carry, and it wouldn't spoil inside the space. As for how he knew what the space could do, weren't all those apocalypse novels written that way? It wasn't as if he had never read them. He could just find some time later to verify it. While stockpiling supplies, he also had to build an extremely sturdy shelter, and that unsold villa in Yunfeng residential complex was just right, for floors above ground, and 3 underground, with plenty of space. The yard was also large, a full 1,000 square meters. After the shelter was built, he would have to consider how to protect it from being breached and how to take revenge. Trying to carry out revenge against so many people all by himself with his bare hands was definitely impossible. He had to stockpile enough firearms or munitions. As the saying goes, beyond 7 steps a gun is fast. Within 7 steps, a gun is both accurate and fast. As long as he had a gun in hand, if anyone dared to target him again, one shot would be enough to blow them away. Besides guns, it would be best to also have heavy weapons and weapons of mass destruction. The longer the ice and snow apocalypse lasted, the more chaotic human order would become. And the more powerful the weapons, the better he could protect his own safety. It just so happened that some time ago there had been a major industrial review in the country, and quite a few private enterprises had produced some impressive things, which could be modified for military use, and their power was tremendous. For example, the twin-tailed scorpion drone made by a certain company, or the drones developed by a certain DJI. Just add weapons to them, and they become deadly weapons. And making such large-scale purchases without arousing suspicion was perfectly suited to the cover of opening a large logistics company. As for the weapons needed for modifications, naturally, he would have Su Muyu and Su Yunxi make the connections, as trusted aides of his second uncle. And with Su Tian Group being such a huge international conglomerate, it wasn't too much to expect that they knew some arms dealers from various countries, right? This was why Su Yang wanted to leave that $5 billion in overseas accounts. If he transferred that much money out of the country all at once, it would definitely arouse suspicion. But if the money was routed abroad, no one would think of him, and he wouldn't run into trouble. As the saying goes, if a man has no long-term plans, he will have immediate worries. Being a little more cautious is good for him. On the way back after dropping off the 2 sisters, Su Yunxi and Su Muyu, Su Yang's mind raced as he ran through his plan once more. Only after patching up every loophole did he finally let out a sigh of relief. He asked again, if we lose control of the Su Tian Group, will the companies that previously worked with the group still recognize you? That's not a problem. The 2 answered at the same time. My second granduncle is already dead. Can you still get in touch with his old acquaintances, or the people who received his favor? Su Yang asked again. Yes, we can. We know all the people old Mr. Su met while he was alive. Su Yunxi said without hesitation. They are all elites in their respective fields. Are there any major foreign arms dealers among them? Su Yang looked at the 2 seriously. Su Yunxi and Su Muyu thought carefully for a moment before answering. There really is one, in the Bear Country. There's hope. A smile appeared at the corner of Su Yang's mouth, and he continued asking, what about experts in weapons? Yes, we know a weapons R&D company in Eagle Country, which previously wanted the Su Tian Group to invest, but old Mr. Su turned them down. This time, Su Yunxi answered without even thinking. Very good. Su Yang nodded in satisfaction. You've arrived where you live. Get out of the car. I still have things to do. Seeing the resentful looks in their eyes, Su Yang gave a final instruction. Answer my calls at any time. Maybe one day I'll have an important task for you. The 2 watched as Su Yang drove off, and they did not try to stop him. They still had to sell off their fixed assets in New Country, and even more importantly, sell off their stocks within a month, so the task was quite heavy. They had to get proper rest and return to New Country early tomorrow morning. Su Yang drove back without any obstruction to Fengyun residential complex. After parking the car, he headed straight for the Lianjia office outside. Hello, sir. Are you looking to rent or buy a home? A female staff member of about 23 or 24, with looks around 70 out of 100, stood up at once and asked when she saw him walk in. Su Yang didn't waste words and directly stated his purpose. When the other party heard that he had come to buy a house, the smile on her face became even brighter. What kind of layout are you looking for, sir? She quickly asked. Su Yang also didn't waste words and directly spent 30 million to buy villa number 001. In Jizhou City, Fengyun residential complex could only be considered a mid-range neighborhood. A total of 40 buildings had been constructed there, and when planning it, the developer had a sudden bout of enthusiasm and decided to build a high-end villa in the central area, which was the current number 001. Moreover, it was fully renovated and ready for immediate move-in. But because the asking price was too high, 40 million at the time, it had never been sold. Even now, after dropping to 30 million, it still attracted no interest. Truly, it takes all kinds in this world, building a luxury villa for sale in a neighborhood that could barely even be considered mid-range. What a ridiculous idea. Just think, what wealthy person would buy a villa worth tens of millions here? Wouldn't that lower their status? If they were really going to buy, they would go somewhere with a better location and better value retention. Rich people may be rich, but they aren't stupid. It could only be blamed on how good the domestic real estate market had been in previous years. That quite a few developers sold out all their homes after building just a front gate. And even now, only that gate is still sitting there. The reason Soo-young took a liking to this villa was, first, because the people who killed him in his previous life all lived in this neighborhood. Second, because it was move-in ready, which was convenient. The final reason was that the layout was good, the view was wide open, and the area was large enough. There were many rooms. It perfectly matched the conditions he envisioned for surviving the apocalypse. Once the apocalypse arrived, it wasn't enough to just have food and clothing. One also had to ensure recreation, quality of life, and balanced physical and mental well-being, and above all, make it fortified so others couldn't break in. Because this villa had been built relatively early, it was a detached house with a 1,000 square meter yard. Before even buying it, Soo-young had already thought it through. He couldn't stay cooped up in the villa all the time. Otherwise, sooner or later, he'd be driven crazy from being cooped up. And this fairly large yard would be just right for coming outside to relax. He could build a water feature in it, raise some fish, plant some flowers, then build a swimming pool too, and go for a swim whenever he had nothing to do. If he was really bored in the end, he could even set aside a vegetable garden. Growing some vegetables wouldn't be a problem at all. But if he wanted to grow things alive under the extremely low temperature conditions of this ice and snow apocalypse, the prerequisite was figuring out how to keep the entire yard at a constant temperature. Only after paying the money and receiving the villa keys from the developer did Soo-young finally let out a sigh of relief. Since he bought it in full, the procedures were handled very quickly, and the moment he got the keys, it meant that this villa was officially his. Soo-young didn't linger at all and drove off again. Although he had been reborn for less than a day and really should have gotten more rest or studied his portable space a bit, there were still 3 months left before the apocalypse. But Soo-young felt that he simply didn't have enough time. There were still far too many things to do. After all, spending off assets worth 100 billion before the apocalypse arrived was still somewhat difficult. Very soon, he found a very well-known domestic security company, the Jinlong Security Group's Jizhou City branch. Hello, Mr. Su. I am Wang Jianmin, the person in charge of Jinlong Security Group's Jizhou branch. After Soo-young explained why he had come, Wang Jianmin walked up with a smile to greet him. May I ask, Mr. Su, what kind of functional safe house are you looking to build? And do you have any special requirements? Sturdiness, lighting, insulation, filtration, ventilation, an independent power system, and independent water supply and drainage systems. Soo-young listed his requirements one by one. Also, it's best if it has an independent defense system and a crisis early warning system. If all of that can be done at the same time, then installing a counterattack system as well would be ideal. Aside from the crisis early warning system and the counterattack system being rather difficult to arrange, everything else you mentioned above is very simple. Wang Jianmin thought for a moment and said, among our safe house ratings, your requirements would only rank as D-class, and we can fully meet them. As for the crisis early warning system, we can install 2 radar systems for you, 1 air defense radar and 1 whole house early warning radar. The air defense radar can detect missile strikes coming from high altitude, while the whole house early warning radar can clearly detect any corner within and outside the safe house up to a distance of 200 meters. The slightest movement would be visible to you at a glance, allowing you to make preparations in advance. As for the counterattack system, we are only responsible for installation, making your safe house able to launch counterattacks outward from any corner you want, and without you being affected in any way. But we are not responsible for weapon installation. You'll need to figure that out yourself. It's just that these 2 systems are relatively expensive. I roughly estimated it just now. The safe house you want to build is a detached villa with 3 underground floors and 4 above-ground floors, with many interior rooms and a complex structure. And building it all will cost 40 million. Adding the 2 systems I mentioned above brings the total to 50 million. Once completed, your safe house will be able to withstand 10 uninterrupted strikes from an RPG rocket launcher at any given point. D-class, and able to withstand 10 strikes from an RGP rocket launcher at the same point? Soo-young frowned and said, it's still not sturdy enough and not safe enough. How many grades of safe houses does Jinlong have? And what is the highest? There are 6 grades in total. A, B, C, D, E, and F. Wang Jianmin replied. A-class is the highest, and F-class is the lowest. We have built quite a few safe houses both domestically and abroad for some wealthy people or apocalypse enthusiasts, and most of them are E-class and F-class. A D-class one like yours, Mr. Su, is still quite rare. As for an A-class safe house, since Jianlong Security Group was founded, we have built only one. However, that was already 20 years ago. The materials at the time were not as good as they are now. If it were rated again today, it would at most reach B-class. There were actually that many people building safe houses? Su Yang thought to himself. It seems that the rich, no matter the time, are far better than ordinary people at dealing with risks. What level can an A-grade safe house reach? His words made the other party pause for a moment before replying. An A-grade safe house can withstand a nuclear bomb. It can really withstand a direct nuclear strike? Su Yang's eyes lit up as he quickly asked. Wang Jianmin shook his head helplessly. In theory, it can. After all, it has never actually been subjected to a nuclear strike. But our company has carried out precise calculations. As long as it isn't hit directly by a nuclear warhead, there won't be any problems. After explaining, the other party seemed to think of something and said again. The most terrifying thing about an A-grade shelter isn't its defense, but its counterattack capability. It is equipped with high-precision detection radar and air defense radar, able to detect enemies attacking from outside at every moment. Even stealth fighters, or high-precision missiles, can be accurately locked onto. It is also equipped with large missile launchers and close-in defense guns, which can work together with the intelligence system inside to achieve precise defense and strikes. Its safety rating is first class, ensuring protection inside and out. That's why an A-grade shelter is also called a war fortress. But Wang Jianmin changed the subject and said helplessly, "We are just a private enterprise. We don't have weapons authorization and domestic conditions don't allow it. So when building such a war fortress, we can only install high-precision radar, air defense systems, and intelligence systems. As for weapons and the like, there is nothing we can do." Su Yang, utterly shocked, did not notice the disappointment on the other party's face. He shouted inwardly, "With a turtle shell like this that can attack when advancing and defend when retreating, I mean a war fortress. I could practically hide in there until the end of time. Who could still hurt me? Whoever comes, I'll first hit them with a missile barrage. I refuse to believe I can't blow you to pieces." Wouldn't the interior of a war fortress like this be vulnerable to network or hacker intrusion? Su Yang stared fixedly at the other party as he asked. After all, no matter how strong a fortress is, it can still be brought down from within. After all, there are radars and intelligent devices inside. So a network is unavoidable, which means there is a possibility of hacker intrusion. Even if it is built, if the other side opens it from within, it would still be useless. No, Wang Jianmin answered without the slightest hesitation. These devices are all independent and are not connected to any external network. No matter how skilled a hacker is, they cannot break in. As long as the power in the war fortress doesn't fail, it will not stop operating, and the entire war fortress, whether from the outside or the inside, can only be opened by the owner alone. Absolutely safe. Good, this is the one. Seeing that the other party didn't seem to be lying, Su Yang decisively chose to build an A-grade war fortress. Mr. Su really wants to build an A-grade one? Wang Jianmin asked somewhat incredulously. You should know that building something of this grade domestically, aside from being sturdy, cannot have any weapons installed at all. It's just an empty shell. Not practical at all. Are you sure you're not joking? I only joke with friends. Su Yang smiled faintly and said again. You just need to build it according to the process. Since weapons can't be installed, there shouldn't be any problem installing weapon launchers inside during construction, right? That's no problem. As long as there are no weapons, it doesn't matter how many launchers are installed. Wang Jianmin said readily. Although he was also afraid that after building this thing, if the other party somehow got hold of some highly destructive weapons, it would implicate him and the company. But this was Great Xia, a country with the strictest controls on firearms and heavy weapons. There was no way the other party could get highly destructive weapons within the country. And even if they could get them abroad, they wouldn't be able to bring them back, so he still had a good sense of the situation. If the other party could afford it, and nothing would go wrong, why not take the job? And another thing, Su Yang immediately added, what I want is not some pitch-black, weird-looking shelter, but to preserve the appearance of the villa, because I don't want to arouse other people's suspicion, and comfort must also be taken into account. Rest assured, while our technology may not be the best in the world, ranking among the top few is no problem. Whatever the villa looks like now, after the renovation, it will still look the same, and it will still be nuclear bomb-proof. But can you make it into a single integrated whole, so that if one day I want to move somewhere else, I can just take it away directly like this? Su-Yang picked up an architectural model on the table to gesture to the other party. That's a bit difficult. Wang Jianmin frowned deeply. The customer's demands are a bit high. Turning a shelter into an integrated whole is not like building a house, where you just lay the foundation and get it done. Nor is it like building a subway, where you just dig a tunnel and reinforce the surroundings. Even hollowing out an entire mountain to build a nuclear bomb-proof shelter would not be difficult for them. The real difficulty was how to build an integrated war fortress that could be relocated at any time. Wang Jianmin remained silent for a long time, thinking it over. As long as you can complete it, money is not a problem. Su-Yang raised the offer again. The reason he wanted to build the shelter like this was to prepare for the unexpected. If one day Jizhou City was no longer suitable for him to survive in, or if he encountered enemies he could not deal with, then when fleeing he could use his space to take the shelter with him and find another place to lie low. Although he still did not know whether his portable space could hold such a huge war fortress, he at least had to plan it out first. You still have to have dreams. What if they come true? The moment he heard there would be more money, Wang Jianmin's tightly furrowed brows instantly relaxed, and he said to Su-Yang, although it is technically quite difficult, it is not impossible to overcome. Just making it into a single integrated whole would require 100 million. No problem, I'll add another 200 million for you. Su-Yang readily agreed, and said again, but I have one requirement. I want my 1,000 square meter yard covered with nuclear bomb-proof, high-strength transparent glass. And it also has to be connected to the villa as a whole. And like the villa, it must also be able to be taken away. With humanity's current technology, such high-strength glass does not yet exist. So making it nuclear bomb-proof is impossible, but making it resistant to hypersonic missiles is possible. Would that work for you? Wang Jianmin shook his head and said, covering the entire yard with such high-strength glass, and also making it an integrated whole with the villa is already not easy, and besides, their defensive capabilities are different. Mr. Su, why do you want to do this? To make a sunroom. Su-Yang said casually. A sunroom like that would not be cheap. The other party curled his lip, clearly not believing what he said. Instead, he proposed another plan again. Mr. Su, although the yard's defensive capability is not as good as the villa's, just in case, we can specially leave a design feature for you when building the villa, so that if your yard is really breached, the villa's main door can close automatically, and your safety inside the villa will not be affected. Usually, you can still freely enter and leave the yard, and the temperature and air humidity in the yard, as well as the filtration system and facilities, will be the same as in the villa. This way, not only can your safety be guaranteed, but your quality of life will not decline either. At a critical moment, if there really is a nuclear strike, it can even let you cut your losses to survive. Totally fine. Su-Yang nodded. How much? And how long will it take to complete? Adding up all the costs, the total is 1.5 billion. Wang Jianmin said slowly. With full-speed construction, it will take at least half a year. I'll give you another 500 million to round it off. Su-Yang said readily. I'll give you 2 months to finish it. Wang Jianmin was stunned. This isn't a matter of adding money. The time is simply too short. Su-Yang, 2.5 billion, complete it within 2 months. Mr. Su, there really isn't enough time. Wang Jianmin shook his head again. Add another 500 million for a total of 3 billion, and complete it within 2 months. Su-Yang said firmly, this is already my limit. If you can't do it, then I'll find another company. As soon as the other party heard 3 billion, the expression on his face twitched, and he immediately agreed. Deal. All right, I'll first give you a 1 billion deposit, and after the war fortress is completed 2 months later, I'll settle the remaining 2 billion balance. Su-Yang immediately transferred 1 billion to the other party. After signing the contract and waiting for the money to arrive, Wang Jianmin immediately convened a company meeting to prepare the construction plan. Su-Yang walked out of Jianlong's security group and let out a long sigh of relief. He felt that the 3 billion was money well spent. After all, this was a place that could save his life after the apocalypse arrived, just as he had told Su Yunxi and Su Muyu. Only money you can spend while alive is really money. If you're dead, it's not even as good as paper. By the time he left Jianlong Group and returned to Fengyun Residential Complex, it was already 6 in the evening. Su-Yang did not go straight home, but went once again to Lianjian next to the residential complex. He put up the house his adoptive parents had left him for sale. Even if he had plenty of money, he couldn't just waste it. By the time he returned to the complex, the news that he had struck it rich had already spread throughout the building he lived in. The people living in the same building looked at him with burning eyes. They all came up to greet him. "Little Su, I heard you've gotten rich lately and become a big boss," Old Master Wang said with a beaming smile. "I could tell this kid would be successful from a young age. See, I was right, wasn't I? Now that you've become a big boss, don't forget us old neighbors." The moment he saw Old Master Wang's hypocritical face, Su Yang's face filled with killing intent. In his previous life, after inheriting the estate, Old Master Wang's family had often come to him to borrow money. After the apocalypse arrived, Su Yang had also frequently taken out supplies to help their family, but they were among the people who broke into his home. After killing him, this old bastard was also the one who spat on his corpse the most. "I'll definitely never forget your family," Su Yang said through gritted teeth. But the other party did not catch the meaning behind his words and remained cheerful as ever. "I heard you got rich and even booked a banquet to treat us neighbors to a meal. When's it being held?" Li Changshun asked with an expectant look. This was another person who had harmed him in his previous life. Su Yang said irritably, "Don't listen to other people's nonsense." "What rich? I haven't gotten rich at all. There's no such thing. Eat, eat, eat. All you fucking know is how to eat. When the apocalypse comes, let's see how I deal with you." As he encountered more and more enemies from his previous life, a violent aura rose from Su Yang. His whole heart grew restless. Afraid that he might not be able to restrain himself from going on a killing spree against these people, he exchanged a few casual pleasantries and quickly left. He arrived at Building 23 and got into the elevator to head back to his home. Wait a second. Just as the elevator was about to close, a group of people ran over. One of them used his hand to block the elevator doors that were about to close. The doors opened again, and the person who had blocked them cursed rudely. "Fuck, didn't you hear me telling you to wait a second?" Su Yang was all too familiar with these 5 people. The bald man in the middle, the tallest one, was called Li Bin. He was the leader of a gangster group with more than 100 underlings outside, usually engaged in debt collection and loan sharking. And the man who had cursed at him was called Wang Lu. He and the other 3 were all Li Bin's lackeys. In his previous life, he had died at the hands of this very group. Li Bin had killed him, and Wang Lu had dismembered him. To run into them at this moment really was a case of enemies meeting on a narrow road. "Watch your mouth." Su Yang's eyes blazed with killing intent, and his face was so ferocious it looked as if he were about to devour someone alive. It instantly made Wang Lu feel a chill all over his body, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. His bully the weak and fear the strong nature immediately showed itself, and he did not dare meet Su Yang's eyes. Suddenly he realized how he could have been scared like this by an ordinary person, and with his boss and brothers all here. If he chickened out now, wouldn't people laugh at him? He immediately summoned his courage and shouted loudly, "You little bastard, I've been too nice to you, haven't I?" As he spoke, he raised his fist to punch Su Yang in the face. Smack! Before his fist could come down, Li Bin slapped Wang Lu across the head. "These are all my neighbors. Show me some damn respect." Li Bin cursed. The slap nearly stunned Wang Lu. He immediately turned around and looked at him with a mournful face. "How many times have I told you? We're civilized people. How can we go around hitting people?" Li Bin scolded him again. "If you dare do that again next time, and if you scare my neighbors, just see how I deal with you. And don't come to Fengyun Residential Complex to look for me anymore. You'll ruin my reputation. I can't afford that embarrassment." "Boss is right. I won't dare do it again next time." Wang Lu bobbed and bowed to Li Bin, as humble as could be. He didn't forget to turn back and shoot Su Yang a sharp look, as if saying, "Kid, this time you not only made me lose face, you also got me scolded by the boss. Just you wait. Are you leaving or not?" Su Yang asked impatiently. He had no intention of tolerating the enemies who had killed him in his previous life, and said irritably, "If you're not leaving, the elevator is going up. Don't hold up my business." When it came to these enemies, he wanted to kill them immediately too. Every extra minute they stayed alive was agony to him. The thought that he had actually been killed and dismembered by these people filled him with endless rage. But Su Yang knew it still wasn't time. He had to endure it for now. Once the ice and snow apocalypse arrived, there would be plenty of time to deal with them. As the leader of a hooligan gang, Li Bin showed no displeasure on his face at Su Yang's utterly impolite words. With a smile, he said, "Go, of course we're going." He immediately waved his hand, and the 5 of them walked into the elevator and pressed the button for the 17th floor. "Boss, you're still going to your place." One of the underlings complained. "Every time we go to your place to talk business, sister-in-law gives us a scolding." "Exactly, sister-in-law is too fierce. She chews us out every single time." The other underlings chimed in as well. "All right, stop whining. When I have time, I'll buy another house. Not only can it serve as a temporary base, but I can also let you lot who perform well go in and have some fun with girls. Li Bin said flatly. Suyang wasn't concerned with what they were saying. His mind was fixed on how to make these people wish they were dead after the apocalypse. Ding! The elevator stopped on the 11th floor. Expressionless, Suyang walked out of the elevator, opened the door to his home, went inside, and casually shut the door behind him. Watching his back, Li Bin's gaze gradually turned extremely fierce, and he muttered, "How strange. Usually when Suyang sees me, he's all timid and submissive, like he can't wait to run far away. So why is he so full of hostility today? If you ask me, it's because this kid doesn't know what's good for him." Wang Lu, who had just been scolded, snorted coldly. "Boss, how about us brothers teach him a lesson? Are you fucking brainless? If you go into his home to beat him up, aren't you afraid the police will come looking for trouble?" Li Bin scolded again. "What a dog brain you've got. This kid isn't the same as before anymore," another underling teased. "Now he's risen from obscurity to glory. Everyone who knows him has been talking about it nonstop, saying he's become a big boss, and that villa in the neighborhood worth tens of millions was bought by him. Now that he's turned his life around, of course he's not afraid of you anymore. Is that so?" Li Bin's eyes gleamed sharply, and no one knew what he was thinking. As soon as he got home, Suyang received several messages from Bai Lu. "Brother Suyang, where did you go this afternoon? I called you and you didn't answer. I went to your home and no one was there. I even went to the villa you just bought to look for you, and you weren't there either. It made me not even feel like going to the concert. You mustn't be fooled by those two flirtatious women. They're only following you for your money. Only I would truly treat you well." She even sent a pitiful-looking emoji at the end. Suyang looked at the messages and sneered, not replying to her. There were also some messages from neighbors at the end, all flattering him after hearing that he had gotten rich. He ignored these people as well. Just as he was about to put down his phone, Bai Lu's call came in. Suyang decisively hung up, silenced his phone, and tossed it aside. He began studying his personal storage space. With a thought, an invisible spatial door appeared. He stored the table in the living room inside it. Under his control, the stools, sofa, even the bed, refrigerator, and washing machine in the room all entered the space. In just a moment, the entire three-bedroom apartment with a living room, aside from Suyang, became completely empty. "Looks like my space is pretty big." A smile appeared on Suyang's face. He found that even after storing everything in the house inside the space, there was still no sign of crowding in it at all. Using his mind to observe everything inside the space, he discovered it was an endless expanse of darkness. It gave off an oppressive and terrifying feeling. All the items stored inside the space were neatly placed in one small area. "With this thing, I can stockpile survival supplies on a large scale," Suyang murmured. "With endless survival supplies and the support of the war fortress, no matter how long the frozen apocalypse lasts, I can survive steadily." With a wave of his hand, the things that had been stored in the space reappeared in the room, in exactly the same positions as before. "Let's try some of this space's other functions." Suyang quickly put the live fish he had bought on the way back into the kitchen sink. Looking at the two fish happily swimming in the water, he opened the spatial door and stored them inside. A moment later, he released them again. The two fish that had originally been lively and full of energy had now become two piles of minced flesh. Every piece looked as if it had been cut by a laser with smooth edges. Suyang looked at the scene before him in shock and immediately came to two conclusions. First, living things cannot survive in the space. Second, any living creature that enters the space will be killed and cut to pieces, but creatures that are already dead will not. If live fish are killed when they enter the space, then what about people? Suyang wondered. That should work too, right? That gave him one more trump card to save his life. To better understand the space's functions, Suyang continued experimenting. He immediately stored a bowl of freshly cooked noodles in the space. He didn't take it out until more than 2 hours later. As soon as the noodles were taken out of the space, both their condition and temperature were exactly the same as when they had been put in. This discovery delighted him even more. It showed that his space could not only store supplies, but also keep anything placed inside it in its original state, without any changes. This function was incredibly powerful. To put it plainly, no matter how many survival supplies he stockpiled in the space in the future, he would not have to worry about them spoiling or expiring. It worked even better than any refrigeration equipment or vacuum sealing device. As long as he stored enough things, he would never have to worry about food going bad again. And he would not have to deliberately leave the war fortress to look for supplies elsewhere, solving the problem once and for all. After a whole night of research, he finally gained a preliminary understanding of this personal space and was able to use it skillfully. To verify how large an object the space could store, in the middle of the night, he even secretly ran to the villa he had just bought to test whether he could store the villa inside. Possibly because the villa was connected to the ground, he did not get his wish. It seemed this space still had limitations, things that were fixed in place, or buildings with very solid foundations could not be stored inside. But independent objects were no problem. After finishing the test, Su-Yang returned home again. And only after planning out everything he needed to do the next day did he fall into a deep sleep. He slept until 9 a.m. before waking up. He turned on his phone and checked the date, March 2nd, 2024. A smile curled at Su-Yang's lips. He got up, washed up, ate something simple, then walked out of the house and went to his villa in the residential complex. Not long after he entered, the 1,000 banquet tables he had ordered yesterday were delivered. After the delivery people left, he decisively stored them in his space. A little after 10 a.m., Wang Jianmin arrived with people from Jianlong Security Group to renovate the villa. Su-Yang walked out of the villa and began his stockpiling plan. Although more than 31 billion was sitting in his bank account, he was still extremely cautious when stockpiling survival supplies, not daring to make large-scale purchases. Suspicion and caution were his greatest strengths after being reborn. Su-Yang understood deeply that if he started buying survival supplies on a massive scale, with his financial power, he would definitely buy out the entire city of Jizhou, making it impossible for its 15 million residents to carry on with daily life. With survival supplies in short supply, society would definitely fall into turmoil, causing immeasurable consequences. When that time came, for the sake of daily necessities, everyone would join in stockpiling survival supplies, driving prices higher and higher. This was something the relevant authorities and the country were unwilling to see, and it would only bring him even greater trouble. If it really came to that, he would be dealt with before the apocalypse even arrived. He could not do something so abnormal. He had to be careful, and even more careful. So he could not be like the protagonists in those apocalypse novels, wildly stockpiling survival supplies on a large scale right from the start. That kind of behavior was simply courting death. Before Su Yunxi and Su Muyu registered the large online live streaming company, he could only stockpile survival supplies on a small scale first. That way, it would not attract too much attention. Once the company was registered, he could openly contact suppliers in the name of live stream selling to stockpile on a large scale. That would make things much more reasonable. As for whether he actually sold anything, that was his own business. After the ice and snow apocalypse descended 3 months later, even if someone figured it out, he could rest easy. By then, order would be in chaos. He would only need to guard against those who knew he had stockpiled a large amount of supplies and harbored ill intentions toward him. This was why he had to spend 3 billion to build a war fortress with both offensive and defensive capabilities. It was not simply to become some kind of neighborhood god of war, but to guard against those who meant him harm. These people were not stupid, especially the suppliers. The supplies were all bought from them, and not long after the apocalypse arrived, they would figure it out. They would definitely know that Su-Yang had abundant survival supplies here. When people are starving, there is nothing they will not do. Su-Yang went over his plan once more, then headed straight for a large supermarket near the residential complex. He began making purchases. All kinds of snacks, self-heating hot pots, meat, vegetables, fruit, and some daily necessities. He kept what he bought under good control, buying neither too much nor too little. At each large supermarket, he spent only tens of thousands. It would not attract special attention, nor would it clear out any particular item and leave others unable to buy it. The supermarket staff even thought they had run into some rich bumpkin. As long as it did not arouse suspicion, that was fine. Although this was rather troublesome, it was safer. He only needed to visit a few more large supermarkets. After all, Jizhou had plenty of them. Every time he finished buying things, the supermarket would arrange a truck to haul them to Fengyun residential complex for him. They even thoughtfully carried them into his home. The neighbors in Building 24, as well as people in the complex who knew Su-Yang, were all full of envy when they saw truck after truck delivering goods to him, especially those who had looked down on him before. All looked at him with eyes full of envy, jealousy, and resentment. Quite a few even mocked him coldly. The country bumpkin got rich and doesn't know how to spend it, so he just buys a bunch of useless things and wastes food. What's the point of buying so much stuff? If you can't finish it, it'll all just get thrown away anyway. Might as well give it to us neighbors instead, and we'd at least think well of you. Sigh. People really should keep their feet on the ground and take things one step at a time. If someone suddenly stumbles into dumb luck, Their brain is bound to go bad. Suyang ignored these people completely. He wanted these neighbors to see that he had stockpiled a huge amount of survival supplies. He wanted to plant a seed of hope in their hearts, only to snuff it out with his own hands when the apocalypse arrived. He not only wanted to kill them, he wanted to crush their spirits too. After the staff carried the supplies into the lobby, he directly stored them in his space. After doing the math, he found that the large supermarkets in his area today, as well as the farmers' markets, had pretty much been bought out. He couldn't go again today and could only wait until tomorrow. But he still left the house and, without resting for even a moment, went off to stockpile other things again. Suyang's plan was not just to have enough to eat after the icy apocalypse arrived, but to live well and live comfortably. Things that could improve his quality of life were also indispensable. High-end sofas made exclusively for the rich, clothes, fitness equipment, gaming equipment. He wanted to buy them all. Ordinary food was just a necessity. Premium ingredients were his first choice. Some snacks to pass the time were also a must. Lobster, abalone, all kinds of delicacies from the mountains and sea, red wine, mitai. Oh, and cigarettes too. How could he not have cigarettes for company when the apocalypse got boring? When those neighbors saw that what he brought back this time were all high-end goods, their eyes turned red with jealousy. Bailu looked at him with an inexplicable glimmer in her eyes. After storing these things in his space again, Suyang stockpiled quite a lot of fried chicken, braised chicken, and couch potato happy water. There were also all kinds of famous snacks from Jizhou City. These things could no longer be put into his own home. Repeated rounds of shopping would definitely arouse suspicion among the people in the residential complex, and there was no way his 3-bedroom apartment could hold it all anyway. He only needed those neighbors to know that he had purchased more than enough supplies. After that, it would be enough to let them see him making another large purchase every 10 days or so. Suyang found a large abandoned factory building, paid 3 months' rent, and had people put the goods there. Then he quietly went back and stored them in his space. Right, how did I forget this? Suyang suddenly slapped his forehead. He still hadn't stockpiled purified water. No matter when, purified water is indispensable to people. Although it was an icy apocalypse, even if the water supply was cut off, they could still melt snow to drink. But he clearly remembered that the snow melt in the apocalypse was not drinkable. The snow in the apocalypse looked no different from ordinary snow. Whether it fell on your body or you touched it, there would be no problem. But it just couldn't be drunk. He had personally seen quite a few people die from poisoning after drinking water melted from that snow. That was the truly terrifying part. Only then would people realize how important drinkable purified water was. Thinking of this, he quickly contacted a purified water supplier and had them deliver several cases of bottled mineral water. At the same time, he also custom-ordered dozens of large water storage units, so that once the villa renovation was finished, he could start storing water. I wonder if my space can absorb the water from Lake Baikal in Bear Country. In an instant, a bold plan came to Suyang's mind. He would go try it then. That place stored the largest amount of fresh water in the world. If it worked, he would have absolutely no need to worry about fresh water. And if he really could take in the water from Lake Baikal, then the 5 Great Lakes of Eagle Sauce Country wouldn't escape either. After all, he had so much money. He couldn't keep wreaking havoc only at home. He had to spread it around equally. After refining his plan once more, Suyang found a 5-star hotel, booked a presidential suite for 3 months, and settled in, then enjoyed a lavish feast. If it wasn't necessary, he really didn't want to see those neighbors' ugly faces. He only planned to go back every 10 days or so to let those people know he had stockpiled supplies. And normally there would be no need to go back. After eating and getting some rest, he checked the time and saw it was only around 7 in the evening. Suyang walked out of the hotel, drove around, and found a large gym. He wanted to work out. After all, in the apocalypse, maintaining a good, healthy body was more important than anything else. That was the real capital for staying alive longer. Hello, sir. Would you like to get a membership card or hire a personal trainer? The moment he walked in, a gym salesperson came up to pitch him. Which is the best personal trainer here, and how much is one session? Sales pitches and membership sign-ups were standard practice at gyms, and Suyang was long used to them. Our most expensive personal trainer is named Ning Kai-dai. The salesperson pointed to a female trainer in the brochure and said, Coach Ning is a retired Special Forces soldier. She only became a personal trainer here after retiring from the military. She's just a bit expensive, 500 per hour. All right, her then. Without a second thought, Suyang paid for 3 hours up front. Ning Kai-dai was even more stunning than in the photo in the brochure. Perhaps because she was a retired soldier, there was a heroic and dashing air about her face. She was tall, with a curvy figure, and the red crop tank top and yoga pants made her body look even more perfect. Although her overall looks couldn't compare to the Su Yunxi sisters, she could still score at least 90 points. Su Yang asked her to be his personal trainer not just because she was pleasing to the eye, but because he knew a little about her. She also lived in Fengyun residential complex, just not in the same building. After the apocalypse, when the entire complex fell into chaos, she was one of the few people who always stuck to her principles. She had never taken the initiative to attack the weak, so her character was still pretty good. On top of that, she was a retired Special Forces soldier, so maybe he could learn some useful self-defense techniques from her. It was just that Su Yang knew of Ning Kai-dai, while she didn't know him. "Mr. Su, have you ever done any systematic fitness training before?" Ning Kai-dai asked after leading Su Yang through the warm-up. "No." Su Yang shrugged. "Does going downstairs to buy groceries count?" Ning Kai-dai shook her head and asked again. "Then what specifically do you want to train?" "Strength, and overall flexibility and endurance." Su Yang thought for a moment and said, "It'd be best if I could also learn some self-defense. Then let's start with building strength first." Ning Kai-dai brought him in front of a row of dumbbells. "Start with the lightest ones. Lift each hand 100 times, and once you gradually get used to it, then increase the weight." Looking at the row of dumbbells, Su Yang picked up the lightest one, which weighed 5 kilograms. He raised it over his head with ease. "This is way too light," Su Yang thought to himself. Although he was 182 centimeters tall and weighed 140. Before his rebirth, even though it had been easy for him to lift a 5-kilogram bucket of water with one hand, it definitely wouldn't have felt like it did now, as if it weighed nothing at all. There's definitely something wrong. Su Yang frowned. He then picked up a 15-kilogram dumbbell and weighed it in his hand, but it still felt very light. He switched again to a 20-kilogram one, and it still felt no different from before. Just like that, Su Yang kept picking them up and putting them down until he came to the last dumbbell, which weighed a full 50 kilograms. Only when he gripped it in his hand did he finally feel some resistance. But it still wasn't very much, and he easily lifted it 100 times. It seems that after being reborn, not only do I have a space inside me, but my physical fitness has also been greatly enhanced. This discovery filled Su Yang with delight. He hadn't noticed it before, probably because he had been thinking the whole time about how to stockpile survival supplies, and hadn't thought in this direction. Watching him casually lift a 50-kilogram dumbbell with one hand, Ning Kai-dai was dumbfounded. Is this something an ordinary person with no formal training could do? A one-arm lift of 50 kilograms is the kind of weight heavyweight lifters use in training. Ordinary athletes rarely use it. After seeing Su Yang put down the dumbbell in his hand, Ning Kai-dai asked, "Mr. Su, you aren't a weightlifter, are you?" "No, this is also the first time I've felt that I'm pretty strong." Su Yang shook his head. "How about this? I'll give you a proper test of your strength." Ning Kai-dai brought over a professional dynamometer. It could display the force released in an instant. Su Yang gripped one handle in each hand and pulled hard. The numbers on it jumped rapidly, and the reading stopped at 500. "My God, your two-handed pulling force just now was actually 500 Jin." Ning Kai-dai was once again somewhat shocked. She then led Su Yang to a punching bag. At the very top of the punching bag was a device that measured force. It would display the data for each strike. "Use all your strength and hit this punching bag with one punch," Ning Kai-dai said again. Without a second thought, Su Yang gathered his strength and threw a punch at the punching bag. The device displayed 500 Jin. This number left not only Ning Kai-dai staring in disbelief, but even Su Yang himself somewhat dazed. He could actually unleash 500 Jin of force in an instant. This was way too outrageous. "Mr. Su, would you be interested in becoming a professional boxer?" Ning Kai-dai quickly asked. "If you want, I can introduce you to a top domestic coach." What does it mean for one punch to unleash 500 Jin of force? Tyson at his peak could only throw a full force punch of 930 pounds, which is 843 Jin. And that was with long-term training, at the ideal condition of weighing 200 Jin. But Su Yang is only 140 Jin. If he increases his weight and practices generating force over the long term, even if he can't match Tyson, he would still become a world-class boxer. However, Su Yang had no interest in becoming a boxer and refused without hesitation. "Miss Ning, I don't think these dumbbells are of any use to me anymore. You should teach me some self-defense techniques instead." Su Yang looked at her and said, "If I could learn the combat techniques you learned in the special forces, that would be even better." Seeing that he refused, a trace of disappointment flashed through Ning Katie's eyes, but she quickly adjusted herself. She prepared to teach him the military combat techniques she had learned in the special forces. This kind of combat technique is extremely powerful and can only be learned in the special forces. It is divided into two types. One is grappling, using extreme speed to subdue the enemy and leave them unable to resist. The other is offense, ultimate offense, with no flashy moves at all. Every move and every stance is aimed at the enemy's vital points. Perhaps because his physical abilities had been greatly enhanced after his rebirth, Su-Yang learned extremely quickly. He only needed to watch once to remember each move and form almost perfectly, and after practicing just a few times, he was already performing them quite well. And so Su-Yang and Ning Kai-Dai began sparring. At first he was suppressed at every turn, but before long he was already able to counterattack her occasionally. After 3 hours, Su-Yang was still full of energy, while Ning Kai-Dai was already exhausted and panting heavily. The feeling Su-Yang gave Ning Kai-Dai was that his learning ability and the explosive power he could unleash in an instant were simply too strong, and his endurance was downright terrifying. At first she had been completely dominating him, but now he was already fighting her to a 40-60 split. In less than 2 days, in terms of moves alone, he would be on par with her. If this continued, Ning Kai-Dai guessed that in less than 5 days, he would completely overwhelm her. "Alright, today's time is up," Ning Kai-Dai said, panting heavily. "Go back and get some good rest. Rehearse in your mind what I taught you a few more times, and we'll continue practicing tomorrow." "Alright then, thank you, Miss Ning." Su-Yang turned and left. It was already past 10 o'clock at night. Su-Yang drove back to the hotel. He immediately called for the duty manager and said to him, "In a few days I'm going to hold a banquet, and I need to book 1,000 tables of banquet meals at your hotel. Have your chefs prepare them tomorrow, pack them up, and deliver them to the designated location." "Sir, 1,000 tables of banquet meals are very expensive," the duty manager said. "I can book your presidential suite for 3 months, and you think I can't afford these banquet meals?" Su-Yang asked irritably. "How much? Name a number." 5 million. The duty manager scratched his head. He really had forgotten about that. The man in front of him was a super rich man after all. He had booked the 5,000 a night presidential suite for 3 months in one go. Su-Yang immediately transferred 5 million to him on the spot, and the duty manager left cheerfully. After the man left, Su-Yang took a hot shower and once again began planning what he needed to do over the next few days. At the same time, he reviewed whether there was anything he had missed when stockpiling survival supplies today, and wrote down again the things he had failed to think of. Being able to discover that his physical condition had grown stronger today was truly an unexpected delight, and being able to learn the hand-to-hand combat techniques that only special forces could learn was also a huge gain. Tomorrow he would continue practicing, preferably until he could use them skillfully and kill the enemy with a single strike. Only after planning out all of the next day's agenda did Su-Yang finally fall fast asleep.